Hello gamers around the world, I'm Sparrowkiss and welcome to Game Breaking News, this show where I bring you everything important that happened this week in the world of gaming. Oh man, we had a bunch of announcements this time, and of course we're going to start with the big one. Farming Simulator 17 is getting a DLC on the 9th of May, where you get two big ass tractors with a lot of attachments with them. Woohoo! Fuck yeah! Farming Simulator. Please excuse me, I'm just for a second, I'll be back. Moving on, the next announcement that we had this week was Destiny 2. After months of speculations and last week where I already told you about some leaks due to a poster, we finally have it official and we got the first trailer. Which is quite useless since there's no actual gameplay anyways, but first of all, Destiny 2 will come out on the 8th of September this year for Xbox One, PS4, and that's a new one, also for PS4. And we'll get to see some actual gameplay next to the useless trailer that we see right now on the 19th of May. And of course, we're going to have a lot of DLC coming out for that game too, but according to Sony's YouTube channel, at least some of them will be available first on PlayStation 4. Oh man, that's the kind of exclusivity that makes me want to buy a PlayStation 4. Oh, wait, no, it's not. But okay, I guess we will see how this will turn out when we get some actual gameplay or some more information about the game in the future. Next up is Sega and Creative Assembly when they announced on Friday Total War Warhammer 2. Also with a useless cinematic trailer. Sure, it looks cool, yet we don't have any gameplay yet. And regarding the fact that the first Total War Warhammer game was released in May last year, I was actually pretty pissed that they already announced another sequel. And I thought that this is just some money-grabbing bullshit, but when I was thinking about it, I came to the conclusion that it is still some money-grabbing bullshit, yet it's not that simple. When they announced that they would introduce the Warhammer universe into the Total War series about 2 years ago, they said that they would make a trilogy out of it. And given the fact that since the Bavarian invasion expansion for the first Roman Total War, they pretty much released a standalone game for the main title a year after. Sometimes they even had a second expansion as well, so in case of Warhammer 2, we don't really have those expansions anymore, but actually have full sequels, or however you want to name them. Now, we don't have a release date yet for Warhammer 2, but it is scheduled to be released in 2017, and given the release schedules that Total War games had so far, I'm pretty sure that we can expect it to come out this summer, and I would say it will come out in September. I personally love the Total War series. I bought every main title since the very first Shogun, but for me the titles lost appeal, especially quality-wise, and it kinda reached its peak, or well, should I say its low, with Rome 2. So when they announced the Warhammer universe inside the Total War series, I was actually at first quite excited. Not that I'm really into Warhammer, or that, I never played any of their games, nor am I have any affiliation with them, but I was still excited about having some fantasy in Total War. But then they announced all these stupid policies and all these restrictions that they had in games, and also that although they were not that many races to play to begin with, there was still a race as a day one DLC. Simply, it felt too much of a money-grabbing scam than actually delivering a cool game to the players. And that, kept on going on with every game that came out for the Total War series over and over and over again. And the arguments that the developers gave to us, well, they didn't really convince me. I'm not going to delve into that too far because that will take a complete video to talk about that. So this is why I actually skipped the Total War Warhammer game, and to be honest, it doesn't really look better for the sequel in my perspective. What actually seems pretty cool is that you can merge the campaign maps from the first Warhammer game together with the second Warhammer game, and then you can have an enormous campaign. But then again, we only have 4 races in the game, 3 of which we already know, and 1 is secret. Seriously, I do understand that they cannot put that many factions into a Warhammer Total War game like they would be in a normal Total War game, because you have all these different models and you have to work with that, and it's all different. I understand that this is more work, but what really pisses me off is that they already stated that there will be a day one DLC. Most likely that's going to be that secret race, and all those other things that they release in as paid DLCs that just got worse and worse with every title in the Total War series. And that simply ruins the Total War series for me. And it doesn't seem that they want to change that at all. And you know why? Because gamers are stupid enough to buy all that shit. Oh man. Anyways, to wrap it all up, for the ones of you that wait for another historical Total War, well, I guess it's still gonna take some time. But as far as I know, there are different studios working on the Warhammer games and on historical Total War games. So honestly, I expect one hell of a Total War game that is coming out, next. And the ones of you that would like to play historic games, but in a different meaning of historic, well, there was an announcement for you as well this week. Outcast Second Contact was announced this week. The remake of the 1999 open world space RPG, action, adventure, crazy game, whatever. It's just everything. It had everything. The game is loved by many fans and gamers that were basically old enough to remember and to play that. And to be honest with you guys, even the remake looks really, really 90s to me. But I don't mean it in a bad way at all. But I guess only 90s kids would get it. And also the ones from the 80s. Strap on for an old school space adventure that is coming out this autumn. Speaking of space adventure, the telltale game Guardians of the Galaxy did not only get an actual trailer this week, we also got a release date for the first episode that's going to be on the 18th of April. Alright, still not enough space adventures? Well, how about Star Wars Battlefront 2? This week we didn't get actual information or anything, just information about information that we're gonna get. News is going to come, and that will be shown in form of a trailer and will be presented to the public at the Star Wars celebration on the 15th of April. But if you think that this was the last we've heard of EA and space adventures this week, well, you're wrong. Mass Effect Andromeda's sales, at least in the UK, were probably not as good as expected. Sure, it was the most selling game of the week, but not the best launch of the year so far, behind Ghost Recon Wildlands and Horizon Zero Dawn that was a console exclusive. And also, it was only the third best launch of the Mass Effect franchise after the third and the second. Well, honestly, it doesn't really surprise me after all that bad publicity the game got due to the EA Access program, where players can play the game for 10 hours before the release. But personally, after playing a couple of hours, I can say that all these negative issues that are there are some issues with the game, but most of them were just pushed in the social media. And overall, it's not that bad. I can't say anything final until my review, but for now, I'm having a blast playing it, and you should check out my Let's Play on that. Wink wink, nudge nudge. Anyways, in a statement to the fans, BioWare thanks for all the feedback, negative and positive, and they say that they will work hard on improving the game in the coming weeks, and also give more details on how they will proceed soon. Interestingly, there was no mention of DLCs whatsoever, and I think that is a good idea. Thank first, then fix your fucking game, and then talk about pouring more money out of your customers. Well, we will see what kind of improvements they will have for us, but until then, maybe you want to play Battlefield 1, and maybe you also want to play the newest DLC, They Shall Not Pass. Well, first of all, it's stupid that this DLC exists in the first place because of World War I and the French involvement in it, but other than that, EA actually announced a quite nice feature, the Premium Friends. Okay, this sounds really stupid at first, but how they plan this to work is that players who have the Premium Pass in Battlefield 1 can invite players from their friends list to play with them on maps of the newest DLC, even if those players don't own that DLC. Obviously, the plan for EA is that players that see and play the DLC with friends will want to play it on their own as well, so they're going to buy it. But on the other hand, it also gives a free access to the content to players that are not sure if they should get the DLC or not. To me, it looks like a win-win, and I'm all for that. But if you don't agree with me and say that's not really that good, and please stop that. Guys, put your thoughts in the comments down below. Maybe I'm overlooking something here, but so far, this sounds like a nice deal. You know what's not a nice deal? The bullshit that apparently happened last week to a gamer in Overwatch. Turns out another player was added to his team, and he demanded $5 to be paid to him via PayPal, or he will purposefully play bads and make the team lose. So you basically have to choose, lose the game or pay $5. Or maybe it's a bit less because it would be a team effort, I guess. Well, that would be another word for crowdfunding. Obviously, they didn't pay anything and they lost the round. So according to the post in the Activision Blizzard forums, a player that was a victim contacted Activision support to report that blackmailing player, but they did not want to do anything and referred to Sony. So he contacted them, but of course Sony said that this was not their responsibility and referred it back to Activision. By now, days have passed and nobody has contacted him or reacted to his post on the forums. Oh man, this is not looking good. I really hope that this will not continue in a bigger scale, because apparently nobody feels responsible in condemning or punishing that. On PC, it's a lot easier to report somebody, but on consoles, it seems to be quite a different story. And just nobody feels responsible. It's clear to me that Activision Blizzard is responsible here to react to that accordingly and to make sure that this stays a single case and will not become a spread behavior among asshole gamers. Man, that really brought down my mood. And this bullshit really lowers my desire to play video games right now, so let's take a break and see what else is there to do except for playing video games. I know it sounds crazy, but there are things to do. Let's take a short break to look at what else one can do instead of playing video games. Let's think. Oh yeah, one could watch Game of Thrones or get psyched by the new trailer. Or one can watch the new Lara Croft movie with Alicia Vikander. Damn, I would pound that. Or one could just play Tomb Raider, which brings us back to video games. You know what else you can do instead of playing video games? Watching other gamers playing video games. Exhibit A, you can watch me playing, for example, Horizon Zero Dawn, Mass Effect Andromeda, or on my other channel, Stellaris and Hearts of Iron 4. But you could also go over to Twitch and watch some streamers. Unfortunately, so far, streamers had to decide if they want to go full HD or for a glorious 60 FPS. But thanks to an update, they don't have to choose anymore, they can have them both. Well, YouTube Gaming has this for quite a while now, and finally Twitch has it too, scrapping its 3.5 Mbit limit. It's about fucking time. Seriously, sometimes I wonder how companies get away with things like that. They offer really shitty service or are actually behind their competitors, but they still stay on top of their industry, which is, I guess, mostly just because they were the first in the business. And some just don't. For example, like Oculus. I already said in the last episodes that Oculus is not doing that great at the moment, even though they were basically the founders of the whole VR hype that is going on right now. But that doesn't keep Oculus from celebrating the fact that the full and public release of the gear is now 1 year old. And they celebrate by doing two things. One is that over 30 titles are on sale on the Oculus store right now, and you can get them with up to 80% less. Man, if they made a 80% price cut on the hardware, that would be something to celebrate. The other way they celebrated their 1 year celebration was by kicking out Oculus co-founder Lucky Palmer. Okay, for the benefit of the doubt, we do not know if he left the company on his own will or if he was left, so to speak. But my guess is that he did not leave the company on his own free will, because for the last couple of months there was actually some bad juju surrounding him and Oculus. Seriously, it's hard to see if Oculus is doing good, because they do have a partnership deal with Samsung and they're selling a ton of VR gear, or if their situation is actually bad, because on the other hand we all have these news that is coming from them that doesn't really sound good, and it feels like they cannot handle the whole competition in the VR market, and also the fact that the market itself is still growing, or at least not that big as they, I guess, hoped that it would be by now. And that uncertainty also reflects on the whole VR technology. And also on the consumer, for example me, and I'm asking myself, should I buy some VR gear or not? Because it's still, I don't know, on the edge of either succeeding or falling down the cliff. But for Nintendo, that is a whole other story, because the Switch is still selling big. But there are some people who do not want to pay for things. We already had the news about the Switch being already partially cracked. But this time, Norton, the antivirus company, had the urge to warn stupid people about emulators for the Nintendo Switch on the internet. Simply put, and now I'm talking to the many stupid people out there is no working Nintendo Switch emulator out there. And there won't be one anytime soon. And guess what? The ones that you can supposedly download right now, well, they're full with viruses and Trojan horses and whatnot. Just use your brain, people. We barely have a PlayStation 3 or 360 emulator, and those that are there don't really work out that great anyways. So just stick to the old ways and get your wallet out and pay for a console. But, well, maybe there are people that want to pay for the Switch, but they can't buy one because there are none in stores. The Switch is sold out in many places, and additional stock gets sold out within moments after it arrives. And according to GameStop, that's not going to change this year because people will want to keep buying that console. Man, Nintendo, you got yourself one heck of a console right there. But I guess you cannot say that about their mobile games, because that's again one different story with Super Mario Run. So it looks like almost 18 million people have downloaded the app on the App Store, yet only 4 million actually bought the full game. Those numbers might probably increase a lot since it was released on Android. But for two reasons, that is not surprising to me that only 4 million out of 80 almost bought the game. For one, the game is ridiculously expensive. It's $10 for the full game. And two, the game is just boring and crap and not worth even $1, which basically also accounts for the other 99.999% of mobile games out there. But according to Nintendo, they don't want to change anything about the price policy, and by the looks of it, they don't even have to. Because the main reason why Nintendo entered the mobile market was due to their failing business in the console market, namely the Wii U. But that seems to be a thing of the past, because as I said, the Switch is selling bigly, and at least in Japan, it is selling better than the PS4 did at launch. So now, 4 weeks after the release of the Switch, there are more than 500,000 sold consoles in Japan. That is something that the PS4 did not manage within the first 4 weeks. Man, this is impressive. And Nintendo is also hyped for this year's E3. After last year, where it was basically just Zelda and Pokemon, this year is supposed to involve a lot more games, according to Nintendo America's boss. Man, looks like Sony and Microsoft need to step up their game. So what's the news that we got from them regarding their consoles? Well, both of them released updates for their consoles, so the PS4 gets a 4K support for the media player. Wait, that's not an update. That's just Sony being stupid not including that to begin with. Okay. The update for the Xbox basically gives access to Beam on the console. What's Beam, you ask? Well, it's basically Twitch, but instead of being owned by Amazon, it's owned by Microsoft. Man, really? That's what you have to offer to counter Nintendo? Come on, Sony. Come on, Microsoft. Do something. Well, maybe Sony is actually doing something more, because in a DigiTimes article, they were actually talking about an electronic supplier in Taiwan and the production of the Nintendo Switch, and that they expect to deliver and likely sell 10 to 20 million Switches within the first year. That is one impressive number if they can actually reach that. They were also mentioning the Xbox Scorpio, which we already know about, but in one sentence, barely noticeable, it says Sony is expected to release a thinner version of its PlayStation 4. Does that mean that we get a PlayStation 4 Super Slim? I mean, we had that with the PS3. Or do we get a PS4 Pro Slim? Man, last week I told you about that interview that we might get new hardware every year in the future. Man, damn, it seems like the future is now. But I guess until E3, that's all speculation. Damn. E3 is gonna be big this year. So let's move on to everyone's favorite, CG Projekt Red and Rockstar Games. Well, if you say, well, they're not my favorites, Stop lying to yourself and to everybody else, please. So while we're at the topic of speculations, here's the rumor of the week regarding Red Dead Redemption 2. According to a Polish electronics shop, the release date will be on the 3rd of October. Well, maybe not, because by now the date has been taken down from their webpage, and the store stated that the employee who typed in the date did not really have any clue or actual inside knowledge. So I guess we still have to wait until the next trailer that will arrive probably within the next 2 months. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna see a release date right then and there. On the other hand, we can play The Witcher for quite a while now. Actually, the first Witcher game dates back to 2007. And since then, a lot has happened. But also back then, some things have happened as well. For example, many gamers actually don't know that The Witcher series is actually based on a novel series. And back in the day when they were getting the rights to make those Witcher games inside the Witcher setting, the author of those books did not believe that these games would actually get any big. And he actually confirmed in an interview that he did not think that games in general would not be a big thing at all. So yeah, he got compensated with a big pile of money, but it was just a one-time payment at the beginning, and that's it. So in an interview, Andrzej Sapkowski, the author, admitted that he truly regrets the deal and the conditions that he made more than 10 years ago. And who can blame him? Because what came out this week in a report by CG Projekt Red is that the whole Witcher series has sold more than 25 million copies. And I'm pretty sure that Witcher 3 is responsible for most of them. Man, congratulations, you Polish bastards. Well done. You know what else was well done? That publicity stunt by Red Barrel Games and Outlast 2. So this is now the 3rd week I'm talking about this game and its classification in Australia. This week the developers gave an explanation on why the game was not classified at first, but in the end did get a R18+ rating without any changes in the game. Turns out they sent in an old copy of the game with the extreme violence sex scene in it that caused the rating of the game. So after clearing the mistake, they sent in a current version of the game and it got classified. Now, so far I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but not anymore. I am not a judge or a member of any court. I don't need evidence to accuse and sentence somebody. I say Red Barrel Games did that on purpose to get free media attention for Outlast 2. A bold move that worked flawlessly, and personally, I like that. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure to present you the game-breaking news of this week. Feel free to comment on this week of gaming down below. Make sure to press the like button down below to give me even more encouragement to make this show better and better. Have a nice week, and I will see you in the next game-breaking news.